back to our podcast. This is episode 2. Joined with Anne again, and me, Ben. We are going to discuss today unhealthy habits around aesthetics and fitness. Bit of a strong point for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, strong feelings. Trying to think. Let's start.
Yeah, so
It's a lot we could talk about.
it's a massive subject, and it can be quite a depressing subject. So we'll try not to be too depressing. So the fitness industry is incredibly saturated with a fitness ideal or a physique ideal. Now, it does vary a little bit from product to product in terms of like what that ideal is, but the problem is that there's an ideal.
Yeah, where
And
you should look.
These companies are using billions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
to promote a physical type that they're wanting you to aspire to be.
Yep.
And in that sentence is such a massive problem. They choose
Mm-hmm.
what it is that you're going to want to aspire to be.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take pretty much any of the big companies, but you take a company like Sweat, nothing wrong with the company and what they're doing. My only issue with them is that all their models, and I will call them models in this case, look exactly the same.
The exact same.
Which means, remember that they're a $1 billion company,
Mhm.
which means that they are carefully curating a particular physique.
Yep.
And they're using that across their entire brand.
Mm-hmm.
They want that to look like the desirable outcome for people. This is what you will look like
Yeah, if you do
if
this.
you use our product.
Yeah.
And there's so much manipulation caught up in that's like really, once you see it, you really can't unsee it, and it's pretty depressing, because I walk around the streets or look at the people in my gym,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't generally look like Sweat models, and neither do I want them to,
No.
or not want them to.
Yeah.
You know, like this idea that like carbon copies of each other,
And is what fitness looks like.
and you know that's what being healthy looks
Yes.
like. You know, that's what you'll look like if you do our program. Like the whole narrative behind it is so
It's a lie.
makes my skin
Yeah,
crawl.
it's a lie. It's marketing. It's consumerism.
So like I think like most of the fitness industry is targeted at people in your demographic,
Yeah,
and in
100%.
your age group. And like I think this is something that you understand much better than I do about the influence or living with and
Mhm.
having been brought up on social media, and therefore heavily influenced by advertising. When I was
Yeah.
growing up, the only advertising you got was in the commercial breaks in a movie,
Yeah.
but you were away to the toilet to pee during
So
them.
you weren't even watching
So you
them.
weren't even watching them.
Got them there.
Whereas like it's very subtle and insidious, and like they've turned like commercials into like really like subtle manipulation,
100%.
and it's made to look like entertainment a lot of the
Mhm.
time, and it's made to look like it's fun, but really the message is always buy our product and you'll look like this.
Yeah. 100%.
And like, so I suppose like I don't really understand what it's like to have that expectation, you know, to grow up with.
Yeah.
I think maybe other 40-year-old women do feel that, probably from different sources, but anyway, for this, like what I'm trying to understand better is like what is that like growing up with that? Like how does that influence you? How does that make you feel? Like what sort of negative things, or positive I suppose, what sort of negative things does that like bring out for you?
Absolutely. I think when you grow up, you're in this day and age as well, at my age, as a teenager, you're bombarded with that picture. And it's all consuming. when you're a teenager, all you're thinking about is how you should look and how you should act, and it becomes your whole world at the
that word
exclusion.
should, isn't it? It's like that, like
how, and most people probably never will look like that either, and you think there's something grossly wrong with you if you don't, and if you don't have a flat tummy, and if you don't have six-pack, you're overweight. If you don't, that's the message they're selling you. And it's dangerous. It's really dangerous.
Yeah.
I think the amount of, I'm not even just going to say teenage girls, because it's not, it's young women in general,
yeah, for sure,
think that they're overweight or they're not attractive enough if they've not got abs or a thigh gap, and they'll be starving themselves, they'll be doing like extreme workouts in the hope of looking like that, they won't be eating enough, and the health implications of that, you know.
So they're not pursuing any of that for health, they're pursuing
aesthetics,
that
completely unrealistic way to look, and it's the complete opposite of health. It's the complete opposite. When you put yourself in a position to feel terrible, like the implications of that are feeling tired all the time,
and
constant headaches.
I think, like, obviously you are a girl, right? So but I feel like guys have the exact same problem.
Yeah,
like I feel like they're growing up in that exact same environment, and they're getting bombarded with, like, I see people that own the cover of fitness magazines, but you know, that's because I'm in my 40s.
TikTok. Yeah.
But they're getting bombarded with that same thing. So I think this is a universal problem. This isn't a
just
female
a girl thing,
problem.
not at all, yeah.
This is a like across
might
the
be
genders.
Different what they're aspiring to be, but that very real, unless you look like this, you're not attractive enough. Issues there for both genders, completely.
So there's then, like, so people are gonna, so the stuff I do understand very well, of course, is the human behaviour stuff. So that's going to definitely lead to, like, a sense of being less than and not worthy enough.
Yeah.
But wondering what it is that you need, because it seems like young people are being made to believe that look this way and you will find happiness. Yeah. There's happiness at the end of that. Once you look like a sweat model,
yes,
you're gonna be so happy.
You're gonna love your body. You're gonna feel confident. You're gonna feel sexy,
and the whole world's just gonna be there for you on a plate.
Life's gonna be great.
Yeah, and I'm gonna hazard a guess. In fact, I know for a fact that it doesn't work out like that.
Never.
I don't enjoy conversations about, like, this idea of perfect. It's a very curated idea, and it's been curated over the centuries. Like, people used to, like, carve marble sculptures in the ideal image, you know. So it's like, it's something like humans, we are very visual, and we do look at things, we look for beauty, you know. But I think what's happening that's so toxic is we're being told that there's only one way for that to look.
Yeah, that perfection. It's no longer about being attractive. It's a perfect way to be.
Yeah.
And
right. That
it's
actually
attractive and perfection. Totally different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's attractive.
Yeah, in one way, and you will be attractive to somebody. Absolutely.
Everybody's attractive. I think this is, and I literally, as I've said that, I know there are people listening to this who will go, "What? Not everybody's attractive. Some people are stinking."
Some people are stinking.
And I'm like, no, everybody's attractive because your attractiveness comes through in who you are. Yeah. And I know that makes me sound like an old person saying that.
Yeah, it's so cliche. Everybody's beautiful.
But the truth of that is the truth that should be coming through in the fitness industry. And I know some brands have tried to use, like, all size models and all this. But guess what? They're still
they're gorgeous. You're lying.
They're still meeting some sort of unrealistic, like, image of, oh, you're a plus size. Oh, look how fabulous you can be. Yeah. And somebody's sitting watching that going, I don't feel freaking fabulous.
And they're pre-marked fluffy pajamas.
Hey, we've all got some of them.
And they don't feel fabulous.
Yeah. And they're like, what am I doing wrong? So, you know, I'm a plus size girl and I'm still not living that fabulous Lululemon lifestyle. Like, why not? because they've now got plus size models. So that, you know, like, why am I still like the whole, like, so I get it, right? So you own a billion-dollar company, and all the marketing will come back, all the analysis will come back saying that your models need to look a certain way for people to buy your product. Now the problem is, so you might then go, well, we're dead in the water then, aren't we? There's a moot point where like no point having this conversation. So what should people look like in adverts? And that's, it's the entire narrative that's the problem.
Yes.
This entire chase aesthetics.
Yes, that, yes.
You know, that's the problem. And like, does it matter what their models look like? Like, I mean, it doesn't really to me. Like, you know, like, I'm trying to imagine, like, if they... No, it doesn't. It really doesn't, because there are companies out there who do use real people. The sweat girls are real people as well. But companies like Street Parking, they use an awful lot of their own customers, like, and they use their videos and their social media, and these are just real parents at home with their kids and normal folk just wearing the clothes that they picked up off the bedroom floor. You know, like, so the evidence would suggest that you do not have to have that very niche curated brand. You do not have to have these very like specific looking people to sell your, so these companies are choosing to do that. I'm just trying to think round, like, how does it happen?
Why?
Like, is it necessary? Like, are we so driven by us, like visually driven by aesthetics, that we would literally wouldn't buy the product if the people didn't look a certain way? Like, so
yeah, you're right.
Is it their fault, is what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, are we in this situation because these companies are doing this and manipulating us? Or is this our own fault?
Both. It's both.
Yeah.
We as a society perpetuate that of what we need to look like, and then it's a bit like the carrot and the stick type of thing. You think you have to look that certain way, so you spend your days chasing it, and then that's why you want to buy into that, and then that's why companies do that because it sells and it works.
So it's something else that needs to change then. It's something like, you know, you could easily want to go in for the kill and go, let's change, sorry, I keep picking on sweat. But let's change them. Let's like make them change.
Yeah, they're so wrong.
They're so wrong. But maybe they would change.
Yeah, 100% if that wasn't,
if people were demanding something different.
Yeah, or that wasn't what people wanted.
So we need to really like introspect on ourselves and go, what is it that we find value in? In people.
Yes.
You know? And we could all very naively go, oh, I'm not bothered how somebody looks. I just like them for who they are. But do we?
Yeah. We're biologically wired to like symmetry in faces or healthy bodies, but that's so different to
we really need to check ourselves, don't we? Like, we really need to like step back and go, like, if somebody walks into, like, say you work in an office at the reception or something, if somebody walks in and they're not in your textbook good looking category, do you treat them differently? You know, like, do you give them as much time?
Yeah.
Are you as kind to them? Are you as civil to them?
Or do you judge other people for being less than that perfect as well?
Yeah.
If they don't have the six pack and they've got tummy rolls or they've got the cellulite, you know?
Like, so they walk in, so say you're in the swimming pool and somebody walks in and they're not meeting your exact ideal. Like, what goes through your head? Like, you're probably not going to say it to them, right? Because most people don't actually do that. Most people are pretty outwardly or pretty nice. But what happens in your head? Because this is where we actually really get to the meat and bones of all this. and this is how like you can introspect and think about like who you are as a person, and that is if you think like mean thoughts about that person, that has nothing to do with them and everything to do with you. And you would go, right, okay, I get that, because I'm thinking it, I'm not saying it, so obviously it's only me that's controlling that. I'm not thinking it because they look like that, I'm thinking it because, oh, maybe it's because I don't feel that great about myself, and that's projection.
That is projection.
So that's something I think a lot of people don't really fully understand is projection. Like, so when they look for negative things in other people, most of that is about the negative things they feel about themselves and that being triggered. So that whole, like, back to the aesthetic question and whether or not it's a problem, and I do still think it is a problem in the fitness industry, because I think regardless of like, so say you understand projection and you understand that if you look at a model who's selling a product and they don't look like a sweat model, right? And you're like, why are they modeling that? Why are they selling that? Like, that's got everything to do with you and nothing to do with them. That's about the fallacies that you've created for your identity and the negativity that you've created for your identity, and your weak points, like your vulnerabilities, the things that frighten you about yourself, your insecurities, and they're erupting out in these nasty thoughts about your environment round about you and who you see within it.
How you feel about yourself.
If you address that, if you look at who you are and how you feel and what you think of yourself, that'll inform you a lot about how you see the world round about you. And that it's not their fault. It's maybe something you could take a little bit of responsibility for.
I think also acknowledging that you have a picture of what fitness and health should look like. When you're judging that person for not looking that certain way, that is us with our construct of what fitness looks like.
So I think that sort of leads us quite nicely into that other component of this, and it's like, what are people selling? They're selling an aesthetic, but is that aesthetic the correct aesthetic for the thing that we should be getting sold? Because we should hopefully be getting sold health.
Yes, and we're not. That's the issue. That's really the issue here, isn't it?
It's certainly part of it, for definite. It's like a lot of the time, the models that are being chosen to promote a product are questionably healthy. I don't know for sure because I don't have their blood work.
Very individual as well.
Like somebody can definitely be healthy and look like any of these models. But the fact that all these models kind of look exactly the same, which probably means that they're caught up in a cycle and in a trap. Like, I would wonder if any of them, like maybe some of them are, but like if there's a general happiness amongst them.
100%. For them, because they've all got abs, haven't they, really? They're all very lean.
They're thereabouts,
That's extremely unrealistic for the majority of people. Majority of women as well. And I would maybe even go as far to say, unless you're genetically wired that way, it's probably unhealthy to have that little body fat percentage.
It definitely could be,
for the average woman.
It definitely could be.
So then that begs the question of these ladies promoting this product, are they promoting an unhealthy way of them being? And that's the issue then, when they're promoting you not eating enough to look a certain type of way for the aesthetics.
Definitely, because like that is never really addressed.
No, it's not.
Like, are we seeing what these girls are like eating?
And how their energy levels and how they feel, and are they sleeping? And,
and are they full of like mental health issues and anxiety? And like, we can't know for sure, and each person's very individual, but because it's such because there's such a theme of aesthetic perfection and looking in this like very cookie cutter like image, it would suggest that these girls in this case are all striving to look this same way. Now, unless they've got some sort of genetics factory somewhere where they're producing them. They've just got these two parents that just keep producing children. It's just,
Come out.
push another one out.
This one's got abs.
Like, unless there's some sort of special genetic factory producing all these girls that look almost exactly the same, then I'm going to hazard a guess that some of them are putting themselves through hell
Yes.
to look like that.
Yep.
Now, there is our problem.
That is it.
Like, somebody looking at that going, oh, this is what, they don't even understand what it is that some
They're buying
young
into it.
girls sitting at home going, this is what health and fitness looks like, doesn't know what is going on for that person at the other end.
Yeah.
They've no idea.
No.
So it's smoke and mirrors.
100%. 100%. How you feel as well. What is it worth it as well? To have those abs, to feel terrible every day,
Yeah.
to have chronic headaches, to be physically feel frail, because you do when you're not eating enough, you feel very weak.
And emotionally vulnerable.
That 100%, and that's not health. And is it worth it for what? You know, you're chasing that aesthetic for what? You're going to make yourself unhealthy, unhappy, to look a certain way, and you look that way, and you're still not happy. And I genuinely think nobody ever is happy or super happy with how they look.
Yeah, there's no, it's like everything where there's like some sort of like fitness or health goal.
Yeah.
Like, people seem to think there's an end to the journey.
Yeah, when I get there.
They do their 6-week diet and then that's it, done.
Mhm.
Never need to diet again. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Yeah, that.
Like,
That.
there's nothing specifically wrong with like some sort of 6-week challenge, as long as you understand that it doesn't end there. Like, as long as you understand that that is a means to the next stage.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think this idea that there's always like an end point, like, so whether it's chasing like the aesthetic of like these models, or whether it's doing a diet for a short period of time, or doing a fitness program for a short period of time, and then that's it, job done.
Done.
That's it, I'll never have to worry about health again.
6 weeks of
Whoop.
kind of touches what we talked about in the last podcast about doing your diet for 6 weeks, it being unsustainable because you were hungry all the time, unhappy, and then you put all the weight back on, and that begs the question, why do it in the first place?
Yeah, why do that diet in
Why
the first
do it
place?
if all you achieved was loss of happiness and looking better slightly? See, the thing is as well, see when you're lean or you're at your leanest, you never think you're that lean, and you don't fully appreciate it at the time. It's only in hindsight.
Yeah.
That, and why do it then?
I think helping people or trying to help change the narrative around that idea of this end point, that there's a ultimate you that you're going to get to, that you're going to be so delighted with.
It's going to be so good, so
that
happy.
that you're never going to want to change it, because I'll tell you who that you is. That's you right now. That's the you that you should be so freaking delighted with.
Yeah.
And whether or not you want to change that, that's a moot point. Like, learning to be happy with who you are right now and realizing that you're not broken, that you're not unworthy, that you should be seen, and that you should be heard, and that you're of value.
Yeah,
and
regardless.
that you don't need to lose 5 kilos to be of value.
Yeah.
Like, learning that, I think that is hard for people. Like, I know that people will hear me saying this and they'll be like, oh, easy for you to say, Anne.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's not easy for me to say. I have gone through all of this stuff. That's how I understand it.
Yeah.
Because I've lived it. And I have thought before that, like, so I was very heavily entrenched in the athletic world and, like, you know, trying to be like a good CrossFitter and all that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I'm obviously one of these genetic types that's never going to have abs. And then I look at photos of me, and I did.
Yeah.
And like, I couldn't see it.
No, because you didn't look like that other person next to you.
Because I didn't look as jacked as the other girls that I was around, who, by the way, if any of them are listening, I absolutely freaking love, and I miss them all.
You have to say that.
they're beautiful girls, beautiful. And I mean, beautiful. But like, that comparison is the thief of all joy.
Yeah.
You know, like
Mhm.
looking left and looking right and thinking, but like somebody's looking at you like that too. You know.
I know, it's nice, a nice thought. So we think about that, like.
But nobody does, do they? They don't. Like, they just think that, like, I don't know, like this whole idea that we've got to, like, be better than,
Mhm.
like, whether it's better than our current self,
Mhm.
better than like our neighbour, better than like our friend. This one-upmanship, this idea that there's some sort of like hierarchy that we need to climb up aesthetically, you know, that there's some sort of joy at the end of that. It's like learning just to be like, oh man, like learning just like the joy. I know people are gonna like stick their fingers in their ears and la 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 la. The real joy.
This is gonna sound so cliche.
Folk know it.
Yeah,
You know
it's
it.
so true.
The real joy is in being a nice person.
Mhm.
And thinking nice things about other people.
Mhm.
Because see, if your normal dialogue in your head, if your normal language within your head is positive about other people, somebody walks into the gym and you're like, oh cool, new person. Or remember I was talking about like you work at reception, like so if you worked at a reception and somebody comes in and you're like, oh, they look interesting. You know, if that's your normal dialogue rather than, oh like that's where your happiness is.
Yeah.
It's in that what's going on in your head.
Yeah, it's not in certain points that you reach. You can the aesthetics thing you can compare to like when you want that job and you get the job and then you want the better job and then you want the house and you want the car. You're constantly chasing that carrot and stick. It's the exact same thing that happens with your aesthetics.
Yes, there's no end.
And the happiness is just not there. It's not in goals, guys. It's not in a point that's beyond you.
So it's like I think like so people will be like, well, where is my happiness?
Yeah.
That's what we want to know. Where is it? Where are you keeping it?
Yeah.
You're keeping it in here. You're keeping it in here, and you're keeping it in here and here.
Yeah.
It's the words you say, it's the thoughts you think,
Yep.
it's your behaviours on an everyday basis. How do you treat people? How do you treat yourself? Because you probably treat people very similarly
Yep.
to the way that you treat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that everybody is better than you and you've got very low self-esteem and low respect for yourself, then you probably, like, narrative in your head are thinking more negative things about people in terms of what they'll think of you.
Yeah.
So you might think they're amazing, but then in turn you'll be going, oh, they'll think
They don't like me.
they don't like me,
They don't
I'm
like
not
me.
enough, I'm not interesting,
Yeah.
they don't want to talk to me,
Mhm.
they don't want to be around me. And you're deciding that for them, which I think you can probably see quite easily as incredibly unfair.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's what you mean when you say that your thoughts about other people is you.
Yeah.
That it's you when you've got that low self-esteem and you're saying those people don't like you. You have no idea.
Yeah.
That's all coming from you, and that's what you meant. I
Yeah.
think when you said that earlier.
Yeah. You've decided for them
Yeah.
that they don't like you, which can only mean one thing: you don't like you. You know, so like I think it's all bound up. It's all bound up in the same thing. So you could argue, in fact, that the advertising industry, the marketing industry, is just a reflection of us.
Yeah. And
you know, it just shows us our faults. Like so
plays on our insecurities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, so is it insidious? Yeah, I think it is a bit. I think it is. So even though it sounds like I'm making excuses for the advertising, what they're doing is they're picking. Like, we've just dug through this a little bit and we've identified it quite quickly. People's insecurities, their fears, you know, I'm not good enough. Like, so whether or not somebody comes out the other side of this conversation and sort of understands it and can move forward, it doesn't matter, because a lot of people are living this.
Yes.
They're living in insecurity and low self-esteem. That can manifest in a lot of ways. So it can come out as like ego, and it can come out as like fake confidence.
Yes. Oh yes.
You know, or arrogance, or you know. So the marketing companies, the big companies with the big money, they put a lot of thought into what will make people buy our product. And one of the things that will make people buy a product is if they think the product is going to fix their problem.
Yeah, their problems.
So a company will identify a problem, so unattractiveness, and they'll go, we can fix that because look.
Yes, look at this beautiful.
But as we've just discussed in the last 10 minutes or so, that's not the problem.
Not a problem. No, absolutely right.
Because I'll tell you right now, like, there is a big argument for, and I get like just what I said earlier, like nobody is unattractive. Unless you make it so.
Unless you make it so. They're playing off of your insecurities, and they only exist. I say that because I do think sometimes things are purposefully done to make you insecure.
I think it's all part of the same thing.
That
it's cyclic. You know, they can only pick on things that you're insecure about if you're insecure about them.
That.
And then they can make that perpetuates that cycle of insecurity.
Yeah.
You know, and it just makes you, it like really is quite visceral. It really brings it out in you.
Yeah.
So then you feel more insecure about it.
Yeah.
You know, but they couldn't have done that in the first place if
Had
you
they
weren't
not,
already
If
insecure.
you're not insecure about something, they can't
use it against you.
100%.
Yeah, they can't use it to manipulate you or to part you with your money.
Mm-hmm.
So it is all part of the same problem, but I think they have to be held accountable for being
absolutely.
a really big part of that problem, because most people are not emotionally intelligent enough yet. That sounds like an insult, and it's not supposed to. Emotionally aware enough yet in order to identify very quickly when they see an advert that advert is like poking holes in their insecurities.
Oh yeah, pure manipulation.
You know,
absolutely.
and for younger people who, well, maybe not, maybe it's just whoever's just not gone through the process of like self-awareness. Anybody who's not lived through that and like really watched their behavior and like paid attention to like how they talk about themselves and other people and stuff, they are so vulnerable to that, and to the ending up in a cycle, a really maybe a lifetime cycle, never breaking out of it, living their whole life thinking that they were never good enough.
It's constant what you're fed by adverts.
You know, thinking that if only they did this, if only they did this diet, took that supplement, did this fitness program, like then their life would look like that, and then their life would be perfect.
Yeah.
And that's just not where it is, and like, yeah, this would be depressing.
We're clicking off now. But you know, you're right, and that true contentness with yourself, and that this is a bit not about aesthetics as well now. It never lies out with. So if you think that when you drop the £10 and you can see your top 2 abs, that's when you're going to be happy with yourself and you're going to feel confident, just know that it's not. It never will be. It's the same when you think you'll be happy when you've got that BMW. You just won't. You never will. I think a bit of acceptance.
Buying happiness,
Buy that. You can't.
Buying happiness.
I know people are like, oh, but you can.
I mean, you sort of can buy happiness.
Nah.
Although I'd rather like, what was it? Who said that? I'd rather be rich and unhappy.
I mean, true.
But no, I mean, I'm talking about even like buying things at like a small level, like, you know, like joining the Sweat app, like because you think happiness is going to like doing that really. And again, there's nothing wrong with our program. It's the image that they're telling you you're going to get. This avatar that they've created that is saying this is what it looks like at the end of our program.
Yeah, that's lies.
You know, and I'm like, that sort of investment in thinking that you're buying happiness. Is such a cruel con.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and it could be in a fitness app, it could be in a clothing line, supplements, like a nutrition type plan. God, I could just feel the rant there. Oh, it bubbled. Bubbled up. You know, like you might think that, you know, does a $1 billion company care about whether or not I part with my $10 in their product? Yeah, because billions, well, maybe not billions of people are doing it, but thousands and thousands of people are doing it. It's not just you.
Yeah.
If it didn't manipulate you and control you and make you part with your money, they wouldn't do it. These people are not doing this stuff because they care about you.
Yeah, that. Yeah, they wouldn't put you in a position to be unhealthy, you know, unhappy, if they did.
Yeah.
100%. I think
that's quite tough to, because then who do you trust? You know, like who do you trust to be selling you? Because I don't think people should do things for free per se. You know, I don't think that's necessary either to gain trust. But who do you trust? Like, how do you know whether the gym that you want to go to is selling you lies or truth? Because a lot of the time the people selling it don't even know that they're lying.
Yeah.
Like, that's something I definitely came across a lot in my long serving time in the industry. Is like a lot of trainers, coaches, PTs, whatever, they're selling fitness plans or diets, and they actually don't even know that what they're selling is dangerous.
Yes.
Or unhealthy.
Yeah, because they've been told by somebody trying to sell them.
Or it worked for them.
Yeah.
Maybe they did it and it worked for them. And they thought that was the
answer for everybody.
Yeah. The light. That was it.
Yeah.
Walk into the light, everybody.
Yeah.
I've got the answer, you know. But maybe they're a 27-year-old guy who's done athletics their whole life, and maybe you're a 45-year-old woman who's getting off the sofa for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, and like maybe that's why that doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
So like, who do you trust, and how do you know who to trust? I don't know that there's that much out there that you can trust.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to kind of do your due diligence, if you like. You've got to do your, like, a little bit of digging and a little bit of investigation.
Yeah.
And not just be at the mercy of what you're told.
Yes.
And I think, again, that's a current problem with social media, is people are sort of spoon-fed information.
Yes.
And they're not stepping back and taking responsibility enough for investigating whether or not that stuff is right or wrong, and they're sort of taking it as face value because it's all shiny and looks good. And
you're not quite, if somebody says something with enough confidence on social media and you're somebody that's not in the fitness world, so you've not got that background knowledge to discern that that's ridiculous, because there's a lot of ridiculous stuff out there, you could very easily, and I'm sure we probably do it with things that we're not experts in the same way. Somebody could tell me, like, there's a purple and yellow mushroom, I'd be like, bet you it's out there somewhere.
And I'd be like, you can eat that, Beth.
Yeah, I'd be like, I would eat it. But that's what I mean, and that's so...
Like, why would you know? You've never studied it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I think that's dangerous in the fitness industry. I can't remember who it was. It's an old CrossFit coach once said that, you know, everybody is an expert on their own diet. And that really rang with me, because I'd heard so often. So there's a thing that happens when I first meet new clients. Don't get paranoid, anybody that comes to me. And you'll now know the answer, by the way, though. So if I ask you this question, you're getting armed with the answer. If I ever ask you, like, so what does your diet look like at the moment? It's so funny. There's this like textbook answer, and I've lost count of how many people have said this to me. They go, yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. And I only laugh, not because it's inherently funny, but because so many people have said it to me, which tells me that people genuinely think that what they're doing is okay.
Yes. Yep.
Or I know what to do, I'm just not doing it, that one. Which, you know, I think we mentioned this in the last podcast. There's that heavy implication. Well, do you know what to do if you're not doing it? Yeah. You know, because part of the knowing what to do is how to do it.
Yes, 100%.
In fact, I'll be honest, that's probably the biggest part of any long-term like sustainable nutrition program.
If you have the abstract theoretical how to do something's great, but if you can't then put that into practice, then you've got nothing. So you don't know how to do the thing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you know that you're supposed to eat less calories if you don't know how to make
go
that
about
sustainable.
it and make it happen.
And that sustainable thing is the problem. People don't do nutrition in a sustainable way. And so they get to the end of their 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and they're now eating like, 1,200 calories a day because
my eyes touching.
Yeah, they're now eating 1,200 calories a day because an app told them to or whatever, and then they just get sick of it. They can't do it anymore because guess what? They're so tired, and they're tired of being tired, and they're tired of not being able to train properly, and their performance going down, and they've lost their sex drive, and they've lost their interest in anything, and they're like, oh, sod this. And they just start eating the way that they were eating before again. And now they're just gaining weight back on, and like they've lost the will. And they've just put 12 weeks into that, and that's where they're at the end of that. Because guess what? It was always unsustainable.
I think that's maybe a good thing to go by when it comes to the aesthetics and knowing what to do. If something's causing you to lose your sex drive, or to lose your period, or to have like chronic headaches or chronic fatigue, that's not healthy. You shouldn't be doing that. If that means not having a six pack, which I'm gonna be honest, it probably does for a lot of people, a lot of average women, that's not it. Don't do that. That's not healthy.
I think people have really got to like wind it back and take a little bit of a reality check about what is actually important to you. Imagine you're standing in a field on your own and nobody has got cameras and like phones and whatnot. And you're just thinking about, right, if I was to eat so that I just feel really good, and so this feel good suddenly jumps away from aesthetic, and it goes into the feel good, what would I have to do? Well, you would have to eat enough protein, and you'd have to eat lots of fruits and vegetables so you get a broad variety of micronutrients, your vitamins and your minerals in your diet to sustain and support your health. You'd have to eat 50 to 70 grams of healthy fats a day. This is textbook what it would look like, and throw in some fermented food in there as well for your gut health, and drink plenty of water. You would eat little or no processed food. You would drink little or no alcohol. You would drink little or no caffeine. That's pretty much it.
And that, when you say that feel good,
you wouldn't eat too many or too few calories.
Yes, that feel, because when you eat too much, you don't feel good, and that touches on intrinsic motivation to do something versus like extrinsic, which is like things out with you, which aesthetics is, because you're doing it for an out with purpose. You don't like, why would you, if it wasn't for other people and what you're fed, care whether you had a six-pack abs? You would care whether you were fucking starving all the time or not. And that's a good gauge as well.
You would so not allow yourself to feel run down, tired, starving, bad-tempered if it was just you in a field on your own.
That's from within. What makes you feel good. And
it's amazing. Like, so few people do this right, by the way. Like nutrition and exercise. So few people do this right that it's just not understood. If you eat well, as in what I've just said, and enough calories, and that I can't give you a number in calories because it varies so much from body type to lifestyle and the rest of it, so I can't give you a number there, unfortunately. But if you eat enough calories and good quality foods, and you're exercising sufficiently, again, I can't give you an exact amount there, guess what? You're going to feel more attractive.
You'll feel more confident, you'll feel more capable, you'll feel more sexy.
Because like attractiveness, you hit the nail on the head there, Beth. Attractiveness comes through confidence. I remember reading that once. I think I was about like 12, 13 years old, long time ago, probably read it in a magazine. on CFAX. You don't even know what CFAX is.
No, I'm laughing.
That confidence was the most attractive quality in a person. And I remember being like really like curious about that,
Mhm.
because at that age, obviously, I didn't really know what confidence was. I think a lot of older adults don't understand what confidence is.
Mhm.
But I remember thinking, oh, that's really interesting. Confidence is what I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere, so I'm like, confidence is what makes people attractive. So it's like, and I took attractive to mean people would want to be around you.
Yeah.
Not like people would want to date you.
No.
It was like the people would want to be around me. They'd want to like be in my company, be friends with me. I'd be like, oh, right, okay, so how do I be confident? And actually, it's kind of cute thinking back to that, because I actually took it as just being nice to people.
Aww, which is true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just took it as being nice to people, and I really tried hard, and I'm sure I got it really wrong because I was a teenager, you know.
Yeah.
But I tried really hard to be nice to everybody,
Mhm.
regardless of like their social status within the school or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, that really stuck with me, that idea that like confidence is what makes people attractive.
100%.
And I really honestly wish more people would understand that, and that confidence doesn't come from some sort of unrealistic aesthetic.
Yeah, perfection, it doesn't.
The attractiveness comes from the confidence.
Yeah, it's the knowing you're good enough, and despite what you look like.
Yeah.
Despite what you, and
Like it's
being
hard,
happy
like,
without the perfection, that's confidence. And allowing that grace for everybody else as well. This comes back to when you're judging other people, you're really judging yourself.
Mhm.
Allow that for yourself, and allow that for other people.
Absolutely.
And people do it anyway. When you think about like attractiveness, it can range so much. Like you can have a type and you can be attracted to something.
Yeah, you'll
totally
find
different.
yourself randomly
Yeah,
attracted to like
that.
some guy that works in a shop, and you're like, I keep going in there.
Yeah.
I keep going in. I can't
And
stop going in. And like,
You know
what does he
yourself.
look like? And you'll describe him, and your friend will be like, what?
Ew. But in that, the people that you're attracted to are never perfect. And when you like
No,
somebody,
you don't want them to be either.
No, you don't. And when you like somebody, it doesn't matter if they've got cellulite or if they're not absolutely ripped or they have huge biceps. But if what you've just said, attractive is being confident and being a nice person, and that, it's so much more.
I know that's not really what we're talking about here, but it just reminds me of something we were talking about earlier, where I was part of a conversation with a group of younger guys who were, and honestly, they weren't being horrible, they were being like interested and curious about like how men are supposed to behave. And I thought this was like, I know it's a little bit heartbreaking as well, because they're like, well, what are guys even allowed to say now?
Yes.
And I was like, I sort of laughed at them. I felt a wee bit mean about it afterwards. I sort of laughed at them. I was like, guys, you just have to be like a nice person. Manners, respect, have a bit of personal dignity.
Yeah.
Like, be kind. I was like, that's what makes you attractive. That will make you stand the
out.
hideous thing. You actually will be stand out attractive if you have manners, respect, dignity, and are kind.
Yeah.
Like, that's how rare it is, because that's bound up in confidence.
Yeah, and you're not confident if you don't. Yeah.
What confidence is. Having the confidence to be a nice person.
Absolutely.
And in turn, you'll be more confident because you're a nice person, because you find that there's real joy in being nice.
Yeah.
That, like, see, like, when people think that confidence is being loud and being like bolshy.
Yeah.
And I don't mind loud and bolshy, but if it's done with a bit of grace.
You like me.
If it's done with a bit of grace and with kindness behind it. Loud and like
in your face
and like mocking people, that's not confidence.
The exact opposite.
That is so lacking in confidence. Like, it's glaring.
Yeah.
You know, I would love people to really understand that. To really understand that happiness is found in being a nice person.
Yeah, and treating people kind.
Yeah.
Kind to yourself. That's you're included.
And
in
not
that.
doing it out of a submissive place. Not doing it because like you're so desperate like for folk to like you that you'll do anything, you'll say anything, like you'll be whatever you think it is that they want you to be. But instead doing it out of confidence, because it's nice
to be nice.
To be nice.
I think when you come from a place of wanting people to like you and doing anything for them to like you, that's not kindness to yourself.
No, it's really not.
It's a disrespect to yourself.
It does not serve you.
So know that that's not what kindness is. It's not.
You'll hear that from me a lot about how does that serve you, and it's like a behavioural thing to ask yourself. So just to touch on it briefly, I'll talk about it more another time, but to touch on it briefly, if you, a good example, you're in your car, somebody cuts in front of you, you're in your car on your own, and they've cut in front of you and they've gone, and you're yelling at them. Nobody can hear you, no one can hear you scream. All you're doing at that point then is making yourself angry. And that's the point to go, hang on, how does this serve me? 100%. And you can stop it dead in that moment. If you choose, you can stop it dead and go, oh no, that's just silly. I just need to let that go. And it'll be gone. And you can just drop it. Because if you carry that with you and you're shouting and screaming, you'll go to your work, you'll be angry, you'll be telling everybody about it, you'll be, and then you're dumping it on them as well, and you're spreading your anger around. And you could have in that moment just said to yourself, hang on, this is silly, how does that serve me? Move on.
And you kind of use that how does that serve me when it comes to your fitness and your how does a six-pack serve you? Like from the aesthetic point of view.
How does it serve me to be looking at these models going, I'm never going to look like that, but I'm going to try. I'm going to spend the next 10 years of my life trying to look like that by starving myself because that's what I think it's going to take, and doing endless cardio because that's what it's going to take. And I am going to be miserable for the next 10 years because at the end of it I'm going to look like them. No, I'm not. At the end of it I'm going to look like them, and there's happiness there. Like, and you could stop that so much sooner by asking yourself, what the hell am I doing? What am I trying to achieve?
And it's so different if you naturally have a six-pack and athlete, whatever, but that doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you to be.
Do you know things have got so skewed though that I have met many girls who genetically have a predisposition to visible muscle. And they hate it.
Really?
I know.
Yeah, right?
You're like, what?
But that's it. But that comes back to those girls are perfect and they're not happy. That you're never happy.
The way to if you're chasing looking a certain way to make yourself happy, you're never going to get there. Be happy now. And then you are more likely to get a healthy body
Do you know what I also
and feel happy in your healthy body.
I also think happiness with your body and with yourself isn't always, oh, I love myself, I'm so happy. It's just,
no, it's really not.
You're okay with yourself, and you just allow yourself.
It's much more subtle.
Allow yourself to be unperfect, just the way you are, and you're great.
It's that weird thing, and I kind of love this. Like, imperfect is perfect. You know, like there is no real life Barbie doll. Like, I mean.
Wait, what are you saying? Wait a minute.
Like, even if that was like something that people just like chase, like nobody really wants that. Like when they actually think about it, they don't want it. You know, and if they do, they've got serious like body dysmorphia and other problems going on. So
that chasing that aesthetic doesn't serve you as a person.
So I think just to sort of like wrap this up, it's like, so if people can really try and pay attention to their responses when they look at the fitness models that for the products that are being sold to them, and realize and fully understand that that company is trying to manipulate you into you parting with your money, and they're selling you a dream. But you've got to step back and go, hang on, is this the dream I really want?
Yeah. What does that mean to have that?
Like, am I being told to look that way?
Mhm.
And that's what I should be chasing? Is that really what I'm after? Like, and like, I'm not going to tell you what you want. Like, that definitely has to and should come from you and
Yeah.
like your own dreams and goals and desires. But neither should that company be telling you what
No,
you want.
Absolutely not.
You know, and really ask yourself when you're buying that product, what are they selling me? Why are they selling me it?
Yeah.
Like, what do I get out of it? Because we know what they get out of it.
Yep.
They get your money.
100%.
Money for nothing.
Yep.
You know? So pay attention to those things. Think about all that time, that little phrase, how does that serve me?
Mm-hmm.
And then think about like who you are, what you want,
Yeah.
what makes you feel good, like what really makes you feel good, not like what you think should make you feel good.
Yeah, I think people think looking that way will make them feel good, but that's always a future thing as well. Like, it's
Future.
today, right now, what makes you
Yeah.
feel good, and being starving doesn't make you feel good.
No,
You know, and that's
that's not.
what it is. It's not what will make you feel good 6 weeks when you've looked that certain way, which you won't anyway, but it's how you feel right now.
I think I posted something on I just saw that I remembered this. I posted something on my Instagram stories yesterday, and it was is it chalk performance maybe, and it was like something like the route to the perfect glutes. I'm like, how dare they? How dare they? How dare they tell me what perfect glutes look like? I can't remember what I actually said, but it's along these sort of lines. How dare you tell me I'm not perfect?
Yeah.
My glutes don't look like that.
Why are they wrong though?
Why are they wrong?
Yeah.
Like,
That's such a good point.
I'm like, how dare you be the company
Yeah.
that tells everybody
Mm-hmm.
what perfect glutes look like?
That is what people
How
need to
dare
do.
you?
You need to get angry when
Yeah.
people imply that you are less than.
Somebody commented and they're like, yeah, that and the companies that tell you to drink water when you're hungry. I'm like, oh, you understand.
Yeah.
Just drink water.
Just
Just drink water. You don't need to be hungry, just drink water.
Don't be silly. You're hungry because you
There's-
haven't eaten in like 8 hours? No. You're just dehydrated.
It'll take your mind, it'll fill you up.
Oh, that's so funny, isn't it?
Yeah, that was super accurate.
That's good.
Yeah, you gotta get a little bit angry about it though, I think.
Yeah,
Like
you
a little
should,
bit
absolutely.
of like, have your guard up.
Stand up for yourself a wee
Yeah,
bit. You know
yeah.
what?
Like what's okay for you.
That.
Like, and don't be told what's okay for you.
Yeah.
Really think about who you are as a person and what you deserve. And I can tell you right now, like, you deserve everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Yep.
Like, you are worthy, you're freaking gorgeous, you are perfect, and I don't care what you say. Like, and just like enjoy being you.
Being where
Like,
you're at.
consider that for a
Yeah.
moment. Even consider for a moment
Mhm.
that there is joy in being you.
Yeah.
And that you are maybe you shouldn't change.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you're pretty darn amazing just the way you are.
Yeah, that. Yeah, it's okay.
I like you. Adopt. Funniest thing is you're laughing, but you know I mean that as well. I like everyone.
Oh my god, no,
I
so
do,
true
I
though.
do
Yeah,
that, yeah.
If you can't, that just doesn't matter what they look like. You know, you like everybody.
Yeah.
Unless you're no. I'm just- I'm just gonna swear.
Okay, I think
That's
that'll
a
do
good
us for
point to
today.
wrap up, yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely.
think that'll do us for today, and we'll be back soon. If you've got any questions or anything that you'd like us to discuss, or
Yeah,
like if
definitely.
you want us to clarify anything that we've talked about, we're more than happy to
Yeah.
do that, even like in a shorter
Yeah,
shorter
obviously have
format.
points
or
for
whatever.
other podcasts.
Yeah, and we'll be back soon.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Don't go changing.